Right now, I want to welcome to the program Ms. Linda Walker from Buckeye Farms Association and a newly elected member of the NRA's Board of Directors. Congratulations,
Thank
Linda.
you. Thank you. I'm thrilled.
I knew you way back when.
You did.
That's so cool.
Back when I was a nobody.
Nikki Gozer is with us as well, Second Amendment activist from Tennessee. How you doing, Nikki?
Doing good. Good to see you.
It's good to see you here as well. Now, is this your first NRA meeting? No, last year.
Second.
Last year you were at the NRA annual meetings. Well, are you glad to be back?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now you have actually gone to Ohio. You're not just active fighting for Second Amendment rights in Tennessee, because you've gone to Ohio and you've testified in support of Second Amendment legislation in the Buckeye State as well.
Yes, I testified in favor of restaurant carry in Ohio. I testified before the House and the Senate. So,
to have somebody like Nikki, Linda, who can come and share her story and talk about why it's so important to have these pieces of legislation. I know sometimes, the people who aren't gun owners, the legislators who aren't gun owners, sometimes they hear this stuff and, oh, what's the big deal? Why would you want that? Why do you need this? Why do you need to carry in a restaurant? Why do you need a stand your ground legislation? We're hearing that actually in Pennsylvania right now. Why do you need to be able to defend yourself out on the street? Why can't you just turn around and run away? How important is it to be able to put a face with this legislation that can seem sort of abstract, I guess, to people?
It's huge. When we brought Nikki in to testify for the House and the Senate, she's able to put a face to it. Anybody can go up there and give statistics or stories about things that have happened, but when you bring the personal touch into it, and even now, we ran the same bills last session, and we're repeating again in Ohio, and the senators and the representatives still talk about Nikki's testimony, and now they're presenting her written testimony. But it's very important to be able to put a face to unfortunately what she's been through.
And Nikki, what is it like for you? It's got to be hard to talk about what happened to you, to talk about what happened to your husband, Ben.
Sure. Yeah. I'd never done anything like that before when I went to Ohio, and you go and you speak from your heart, and you hope that somehow your personal story and the nightmare you went through will have some kind of influence on these guys, because at the end of the day, they're human beings just like that, just like us. I mean, they put their pants on the same way you do, and they've got children, grandchildren, people they love. And I try to personalize it and make them think about their loved ones. How would you feel if your spouse, if something like this happened to your spouse?
Right. And the other aspect of this, Nikki, is we see this all the time in the gun control movement. Mm-hmm. Somebody who has lost a loved one to a violent crime, to a violent criminal, to a madman, goes and testifies in support of gun control legislation, or will hold a press conference in support of gun control legislation. And we are told that, their personal experience is of the utmost importance. And yet, when you testify and you've got a story, and you too have been victimized by a violent criminal, by a madman. But to the gun control advocates, I guess your story doesn't count. And your experience doesn't count. Because you didn't reach the same conclusion that others have. And so, it bothers me that, if you are the victim of a tragedy, and you decide, okay, well, the answer is we need to ban guns, then your story's going to get told. Mm-hmm. But if something tragic happens to you and you say, it's not the gun, it was the guy, all of a sudden, you look at what happened and all the attention that, let's say, Colin Goddard has received with the Brady campaign and his work with the Brady campaign. Mm-hmm. A lot of national attention. Now, ABC News has talked to you before, right?
Yes.
BBC, I think, has talked to you before.
Mm-hmm. I was actually pleasantly surprised. I thought that their report was pretty balanced. I mean, they gave my side.
Right.
Which they don't always do.
Yeah.
So that kind of surprised me. But
do you think, is there a double standard in the media?
Absolutely. The media is very, very biased. I mean, look, all of the reports that you see on the news are mostly, bad guy shoots innocent person, robbery, this. Guns are bad. Guns are bad, bad, bad is what they push. And they hardly ever report on true justifiable uses of a gun for self-defense. You don't ever hear stories like that. It's very, very rare. And it creates a sense of, wow, guns really are a problem. Guns cause crime, and it's not true. Guns are used far more justifiably to save innocent lives, but the media doesn't report that.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating.
Well, let me ask you something else that I'm a little curious about, because, I think it was the VPC, the Violence Policy Center, had a report that came out this week showing, or they said that shows fewer and fewer Americans are owning guns, including women. They say the number of women that own firearms peaked in 1982 and has been going downhill ever since. So I want to ask both of you, have you seen fewer or more females, let's say just over the past 5 years?
Oh. Well, as a concealed carry instructor, gosh,
Yes.
I've trained an awful lot of women. I run probably 30 to 40% women in my classes. And, the shooting sports or even self-defense has become a lot more important to women. They know that their guy can't be with them all the time.
Right.
So yeah, that report was pretty laughable. And are they the ones who said your compact or your lipstick is more important in your purse than your gun?
No, that was actually, I mean, it goes hand in hand,
Okay.
but that was actually the columnist for the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review.
I read that one. That was funny.
Local guy, Eric Heil, who, maybe you'll get a chance to talk to Mr. Heil at some point over the weekend and correct the record for him.
Yeah, because my gun would never be in my purse.
Well, he would. Don't forget his other. Well, women will never wear bulky clothes to carry their concealed firearm. How often do you run into that kind of attitude?
In our classes, we talk about dressing around the gun, and the biggest ladies who have the issue are generally your young ones who still want to wear the skin-tight clothes.
Right.
And how am I going to carry this gun? Well, priorities. My self-defense is more important to me than that. And, it just becomes a priority in your life as to it. So you adjust, you dress around your gun, and you learn how to shop for clothes around your gun.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, Nikki, are you seeing more women going to the range where you are?
I used to be a volunteer at the range around the time that my husband was killed. I don't do it right now, but I'll probably go back. I saw like half of the class were women.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, the women I would work with, yeah. And they were all about it. So, hey, I'm all about women getting more involved.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just kind of struck me as a little weird because I don't remember there being a huge segment of the firearms industry and the hunting industry and the outdoors industry tailored towards women in 1982. But I know that it's a growing industry now.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. They say the shooting sports, that's the biggest growing sport is the women's group. So, and, talking about women and recruiting, we need more women instructors. A woman can be more influential upon other ladies than a guy can. Mm-hmm. And, women advocates. Nikki and I, the moment we met, we became friends like this because there's not too many women that we can relate to on the Second Amendment. And
I was telling Linda, some of my girlfriends were like, Nikki, all you want to talk about is guns. Like, I can talk to her all day about it.
That's awesome, though. I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. And, as a new board member, I've got a mission here to get more women involved in the Second Amendment. Not just shooting, but in the advocacy of the Second Amendment, because we're so influential. People will listen to a woman. So, ladies, I'm talking to you here. I want you to get involved in the Second Amendment. I've worked the NRA booths numerous times signing up membership. And you'll have all these men coming up and they're signing up or renewing or whatever while the wife is back here like this. And it's like, what about you? No, he's a member. That's enough. I said, no, it's your Constitution too. So, ladies, come on.
Yeah. When we were in Nevada earlier this year for the SHOT Show, we had an opportunity to spend some time with Carrie Herbertson, who is NRA ILA's Nevada State Liaison.
Okay.
And Carrie lives in California, and her 2 daughters help organize the local Friends of the NRA banquet. Her daughters are mid-20s, and I think she said that like 12 people on the committee are under the age of 30.
Good.
And 4 or 5 of them are women. And I love that because, again, if you can get young women to be a public face, you're right, there is a lot of influence.
Yes.
And, the benefits just are immeasurable. When everybody can look around and see somebody that looks like them who's a gun owner, I think we all win. Yeah. And, that was one of the things that we saw from that columnist from the Pittsburgh Tribune Review. Wanted to make it seem like this was the NRA meeting was just a 65,000 old guys wandering around the aisles. I hope he comes out, and I hope he can see for himself. Yeah. There is no stereotypical attendee here.
No, and a lot of women attend this. So this isn't a guys' convention. This is a family convention.
Oh, yeah.
And, as I said last year when I was on, coming to this is so different than going to some other type of vendor type show that's not gun related. We get 70,000 people here over the weekend, and they're the nicest group of people. They're very kind. You bump into someone, and no one gets mad at you. You get excuse me, and so yes, bring your families out this weekend. You'll love it, and I can guarantee you it won't be your last NRA annual meeting.
I am positive about that. You're absolutely right. Now, before we let you go, I got to ask you, if you want to get more women involved in both the advocacy and in the practical side of things, what does it take, Linda? What does it take for a woman or a guy, for that matter, to become an NRA certified firearms instructor? I mean, how much time and energy are they looking at to do that?
To get certified in basic pistol, which is normally what you're going to need to teach concealed carry, it's about a 24-hour class. So you can pretty much do it over a weekend if that's how the NRA consular is teaching it.
Okay.
So get that done in a weekend, and you can become an instructor. You've got to have the passion for it.
Right.
So just to go into it going, I'll just go make some money doing this. If that's the attitude, that's probably the wrong attitude. You've got to have a passion, and you really want to be able to train people, bring them in. As far as the advocacy, I don't know. I don't know how to touch them, and I don't know. It's something within.
Yeah.
We've
talked before about the amount of time that you put in on this issue.
I think it's a love of your country, a love of your Constitution, and wanting to make sure, our government isn't what it was 30 years ago. And, that love for the Second Amendment to bring our country back to what it is meant to be, what our forefathers meant it to be, is very important. And, without the second, all the rest of our rights are gone.
Absolutely. Well, Linda and Nikki, it is so good to see both of you, and I can't thank you enough for coming by the program tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And, as a newly elected NRA Board of Directors member, I would like to thank everyone who, I had people circulating petitions for me, huge cheerleaders, Mark Golish, David Waldrop, thank you. Everybody who voted for me, I appreciate it. Heartfelt, my Buckeye Firearms guys, love you.
Congratulations again, Linda. It's so good to see you tonight.